Hi everyone, I hope you're having a great week so far. For this week's lesson, I kind of wanted to touch base on some outside factors that may be affecting us along our weight loss journey. So these outside factors that I want to talk about today include stress, environment, sleep, and just kind of about our caloric intake overall. All right, so first of all, I wanted to start off with stress. I think we all know what stress is. Some points in life we're going to be more stressed than other times. But when it comes in issues when we're having like periods of chronic stress and we're not finding ways to kind of maneuver around that. So when we're chronically stressed, it can kind of wreak havoc on some of our hormones that affect our appetite. Things like cortisol and ghrelin, especially when these are released, it can increase our appetite. So sometimes that's why we can find ourselves, eating a little bit more, especially for comfort and things like that when we are under stressful times. And it can also lower leptin levels. And leptin is actually the hormone that's kind of responsible for being like, hey, I'm pretty full. Let's kind of stop eating. So we definitely want to keep those hormones in range, so that's why it's super important to learn how to maneuver stress. I have some tips over here on the right that we can go through. Just maybe trying some meditation before bed, or when you're getting home, or just trying to do some deep breathing exercises to kind of calm down your body a little bit when we're feeling super stressed out. I do have exercise on here. And this doesn't have to be like crazy, like going for a run exercise. It could literally just be kind of like walking around the block or, just walking up and down the driveway. Anything to kind of like just get your body moving and kind of relaxing a little bit. I put listening to music on here for me if I ever get really stressed at work or something. Just listening to music for me kind of helps, get me in the zone and making me feel productive. So kind of things like that. Always trying to stay ahead of your schedule and staying organized, trying to prevent, things that might, like don't let things build up as much as possible and then try to tackle it all at once. I know we can all be guilty of that sometimes. And then, of course, don't be afraid to ask for help when it's needed. I know this can be kind of hard to do, but sometimes it's necessary. So, if we need a little bit of support from our coworkers, friends, or family, it's okay to reach out when needed. And then last but not least, I just put change of environment. And, that could just be maybe you are having a really stressful day at work, or just this whole stressful week, but you just need a minute. Maybe we just need to walk outside. Just walk outside, get out of that our little offices for a minute, or, walk down to the cafeteria and maybe get us a healthy snack. Just kind of a change of environment, might kind of help lower some of that stress as well. So next up is just kind of digging into our environment a little bit. I always kind of like to say when it comes to this, control your environment so it doesn't control you. The impact our environment can have on our weight loss journey. If we're surrounded by kind of like those yummy sweets and treats all the time, whether that be in our office or at home, those are going to be temptations that might lead us to having a higher caloric intake than we realize. As far as how to kind of control your environment, let's say, we're at work, always having some healthy snacks that you really enjoy. For me, I always make sure that I stock up my office with a little piece of fruit or some other kind of like snacks that I really enjoy. So that way, when I kind of hit that slump between 2 and 3 where I'm like, I just need a snack to keep me going, I'm not tempted to, walk off to the cafeteria downstairs and get me some chocolate or something like that. If it's right here, I'm going to go for that instead of having to go somewhere else to get it. And as far as like living at home in our home environment, I know that can be difficult just because we have roommates or friends, family that we live with who might be eating those foods that we're really tempted to kind of, eat, and foods that we're trying to stay away from. So when it comes to that, maybe making compromises, buying foods that they really like more, like let's say, um, you are a big fan of Little Debbie's, but your kids will really like Sucker Pops or something like that, but you don't like those. So maybe trying to get more of those for them to have on hand instead of kind of getting the Little Debbie cakes. Anywhere you can kind of make compromises in ways like that. Also, keeping it out of sight and out of mind. I've been guilty of this, like if I got a pack of Oreos or something and just leaving it on my counter, both me and my son will, every time we walk by, we'll just grab a cookie right out of there. So, if it's put up, I honestly kind of can forget about it sometimes or, not eat it as much as I want to. So just making sure that we're kind of putting those things up and away if they are something that we're kind of worried about. And just making sure that we have access to healthy snacks because like I said, if you have immediate access to them, you're more likely to kind of pick them over than picking maybe the more unhealthy choice. And also I just have on here, practice mindful eating. If we're at work and we're mindlessly eating on some M&Ms or something like that, set yourself up for success. Put those M&Ms in a little baggie next time so that way you have a good sense of portion control. Or, just kind of taking a break for a minute while you're eating those so you can, not run out as fast and not be satisfied when you do run out. So just kind of keeping things like that in mind. So next up we have sleep, which I think sometimes we could all use a little bit more of. But as far as its impact on weight, so lack of sleep has been associated with possible increases in ghrelin and a decrease in leptin, and those are kind of those hunger hormones that we talked a little bit about earlier. Studies have also shown that when we're a little bit more sleep deprived, we are more likely to crave those high caloric, high carbohydrate, and sugary foods and things like that. I also thought this was interesting. It talks about how poor sleep is associated with more oxidative stress, blood glucose intolerance, which is, a precursor to diabetes, as well as insulin resistance. So when it comes to sleep, I know we have a lot of busy schedules and things like that, but it is super important to try and get a good sleep or get a good night's sleep every single night when possible. I think overall the goal is to aim for about 8 hours of sleep per night. I definitely wouldn't go under 6, trying at least to get 6 to 8 if possible. Ways that help with this are, really establishing a bedtime routine. I know that sounds silly, like, that's what we do for our children and things like that, but it doesn't have to be some elaborate routine. Maybe for you it's just reading a book for 10 minutes before bed or something like that, or listening to music or some kind of audio tape just for 10 minutes or so before bed. I think we've all heard about this, but knowing to kind of turn off our screens and our telephones, in 30 minutes to an hour before bed when possible, just because the rays in the light or something can affect our brain and make it harder for us to fall asleep at night. Then, of course, watching our caffeine intake, if we're getting in, several cups of coffee at night, that's going to keep us awake throughout the night. And I found this interesting, but it was saying, if you are a napper, trying not to take naps that are longer than 30 minutes throughout the day, because that can also cause you having some trouble going to sleep at night or staying asleep at night as well. So this one's kind of a big one when it comes to having control over our weight loss. And I have the caption as like under eating or calorie obsession. I don't know if you all are familiar with the law of thermodynamics, kind of calories in, calories out, and being in a deficit is kind of what helps you burn off some of the excess weight and things like that. As far as what we burn every day is calorie-wise, it's called our total daily expenditure. If you look at this middle section here, it will kind of explain what we burn throughout the day. So your BMR is kind of what we talk about as our metabolism, and you do see that it can be like genetically predetermined. It's also kind of just what our body needs, like our organs and things like that, just to kind of like function throughout the day. As far as NEAT, that just kind of talks about like normal things we do, like going to work. You know, me sitting here moving my hands while I'm talking, that's an example of burning calories through NEAT. So just kind of unconscious activity. Like, and when we talk about more of like planned exercise, that's going to be EAT. So that's what we're going to be burning there. And then going at the top, you'll see TE, and that's the thermic effect of food. So this one's kind of interesting too. You know, we burn calories through the digestion and absorption process. And, you know, some foods are going to cause, we're going to burn more calories eating certain foods. Like, you know, protein is going to take more calories to digest. And also, like, processed foods are going to take less calories. And then, like, foods that, like, whole foods, like apples and fruits and vegetables and things like that, it's going to take our body more calories to kind of burn those things because they're not already so broken down. So all of those things together are kind of what we burn every day. And I feel like a lot of people will try to be like, I'm going to do 1,200 calories a day, and, you know, that's just going to be what it is. And for some people, you know, that might be too low. That might not be enough at all. And when we're not eating like enough at all, we're in an extreme deficit, that's when our body's going to be like, hey, I'm in starvation mode. I've got to hold all the energy in I can, so I'm going to slow all this down and not burn as many calories. So it's really, really important to make sure that you're eating enough calories throughout the day. I would be more than happy to help you all kind of figure out a calorie range if that's the approach we want to take. But when I say like calorie obsession here, you know, what I mean by this is no one wants to be 80 years old and saying, oh, I can't fit this cookie into my calories today. So the goal with kind of monitoring calories is to just become kind of familiar with foods that are going to be, you know, fit into our lifestyle that we enjoy, that are also within kind of a healthy calorie range for us. So, like I said, if you all are interested in wanting kind of a good range for you all, just let me know, and I can give you all that. But as far as maneuvering it, if calories are not something that you want to keep track of, I would definitely go with a more mindful approach on trying to get in that 5 cups of fruits and vegetables a day. And instead of focusing on what you need to take away, focus on what can I add to make this better. And for some people, they might have more success with just starting by keeping a diary for like a whole week straight or 3 to 4 days before like making any changes. Just being totally truthful and writing down every single thing you're eating, including things like the creamer in your coffee and the ketchup on your hot dog, anything that has calories, including those written down on like a 5 to 7 day journal. From there, kind of take an average of how many calories you're eating per day. And then from there, you could subtract from that number. You know, that could be anywhere from a 200 to 500 caloric deficit. Of course, when we see more of the 500 caloric deficit, we're going to, you know, lose more weight at that point. I wouldn't suggest going higher than that kind of deficit, because then that's when we go into that point where it's too restrictive. And too much of that restriction is going to lead to some of that binge eating. So, you know, calories are important, and, you know, that's definitely something we need to pay attention to when we're trying to lose weight. But I did want to show you all the bigger picture of, you know, everyone's needs are going to be different. It's impacted by all of our movement and some of our genetics and things like that. So, like I said, if you all have any questions about a good calorie range that you might need, just let me know. Another thing I do want to say that's really important is, if you are on a caloric deficit, I definitely would take a break after like 3 months or maybe even 2 months, just because your body does start to adjust to that. So it is important to take breaks and like to what I call a maintenance level, like just kind of trying to eat at your maintenance calories that you burn. So it is important to take, you know, breaks every once in a while, just kind of give your body a little bit of break from that dieting stress. So lastly, I want to talk about mindset. I feel like I've had a lot of people feel a little bit down lately because they're not kind of reaching the goals that they want to. And, I totally get it. Dieting just can take a really long time sometimes to get to where we want. But the thing is to not give up and to stay as positive as possible. The more of like the negative mentality we have, the harder it is going to be for us to, reach those goals. Just because we're going to be like, I give up. Like, I'm going to go back to totally eating the way I was before because I'm just not seeing the results that I wanted. And viewing things more as just like a temporary change instead of viewing it as something, a lifestyle change that we want to improve our overall health with, not just kind of lose weight. How to maneuver this mindset. Practice some self-empathy, give yourself a break, really be proud of everything that you have accomplished so far. I'll share that ever since I have started my job here, I guess it's probably been 6 months now, I have kind of been on a weight loss journey of my own. And I think in total I maybe have lost 6 to 8 pounds. So, that's extremely slow, maybe about a pound a month. But, for me, I'm not having to feel like starving all the time, and, I'm working out more, improving my mental health and things like that. So, and I'm a dietitian, you would think that maybe it would be faster for me because I know all the ins and outs, but truthfully, all of our bodies are going to, do what they want. And what I mean is everyone's going to be different and everyone's going to adjust and react to things differently. So I just want to say, don't give up. I am right here along with you all. It's not too bad. And sometimes for me, the scale can be a little bit triggering. So, I'm not a person who weighs weekly and maybe more about once a month, just because I feel like, for my mental health, that helps me out and makes me not feel as negative when I don't see that scale budging from week to week. Sometimes that scale won't move for like 4 weeks, but then all of a sudden on that 5th week, there it starts going down again. It's really, there's just a lot that, go into weight loss. So, don't give up. Just stay as positive as possible and definitely practice celebrating the little wins. Like, maybe the scale didn't go down, but our pants are somewhat fitting better. They seem to be a little bit looser. So, go celebrate by getting yourself another new pair of pants or buying that book that you've always wanted to buy or going to see that movie that you've always wanted to see. So really being able to kind of practice those non-scale victories and things like that. So just hang in there with me, guys. I'm really proud of all of you. And if you ever just need some motivation, I am here for it. So I did want to give more examples of non-scale victories to celebrate because these are important. Number one, like we just talked about, maybe your clothes are fitting better. Even though that number on the scale might not be budgeting, maybe we're leaning out and gaining more muscle than we realize. Maybe we're feeling stronger and having more endurance. Maybe for some people, that's mental health, feeling a little bit better there. Or just having more energy throughout the day. That's definitely always a plus. And that last one just kind of talks about confidence. Maybe you're just feeling a little bit more confident through yourself as you go through this journey. So, of course, I just wanted to share a cute little motivational quote. And this says to strive for progress and not perfection. And what I want everyone to realize is, no, not every day is going to be totally perfect. We're not going to hit all of our goals every single day. But the key here is to really just try to stick to consistency and not so much perfection. Don't get overwhelmed or too obsessed with certain things. If we have a bad day and let's say we go over our calorie limit, don't beat yourself up that next day. Don't try to make up for it by skipping breakfast and lunch because you ate too much the day before. Wake up, it's a new day, start afresh, be kind to yourself, and just remember, it's a journey, we're not going to get there overnight. So, just be kind to yourself and remember, we're not all perfect, but as long as we're working to get towards our goals and doing the best we can, that's all that matters. So that's kind of all I have for this week. I did just think it was really important to go over those things just for people who are afraid they're not reaching their goals. Maybe we need to focus in on just trying to get, a better night's sleep every night, or really trying to figure out how to bring some of our stress level down. But I did just want to share that, weight loss is multifactorial and a lot of things can go into it. So that's kind of all I have for this lesson. Please, please, please reach out if you have any questions. I'm always here for it. But other than that, I hope you all have a great weekend.